Milwaukee's MX Fuel equipment system revolutionises the light equipment market by delivering the performance and durability demanded by the trades. From the MX Fuel cut-off saw to the MX Fuel tower light, MX Fuel has you covered without the hazards associated with emissions, noise, vibrations, and the frustrations of petrol maintenance. MX Fuel equipment system, equipment redefined. Attention sports fans, planning an overseas trip to catch your favourite games? Look no further than Sports Where I Am. They've got it all. League schedules, trustworthy tickets, and over 200 cities to choose from, all conveniently on one website. Plus, as an Australian company, they know the importance of great customer service for those long-haul journeys. So visit sportswhereIam.com and start planning your dream sports trip today. Sports Where I Am, your ticket to an unforgettable sports travel experience. Righto, let's get into the show. Righto, welcome back to Tommy Talks, exclusively brought to you by Ausmerican Aces. Today, I'm joined by another guest with the same first name as myself, bit taller, the gentle giant we call him. Welcome to the podcast, Tommy Nicholls.
Tommy Sheridan, pleasure, mate. Thanks for having me. Great to be here, finally.
We're in the studio. This is obviously everyone's heard us talk about the studio on our other shows. This is the first ever Tommy Talks studio podcast, mate. So save the best for the brand new opening here. So I hope you enjoy the facilities. We're looking sharp.
Perfect, mate. Yeah, I was looking forward to the casting chairs. So it's good to be in the studio.
I love the jumper, man. That's a cracker.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, unfortunately no sponsorship here, but it's one of the few that actually fit me properly. So.
For anyone out there that doesn't know what you used to do a few years ago, how many years ago was it?
What are we talking about exactly here?
Football,
There's a few things I used to do.
Yeah, I know. You've done a few things in your life. We'd always like to talk about the professional side of things before we talk about your transition. How long ago was it when you were at the Gold Coast Suns?
Mate, 2019 was my last year. Okay. I was fortunate enough to spend 9 years up there, majority of that in rehab. But finished up just before the COVID year. So
oh wow, so you got a similar career. I think I was 9 as well, but I finished the year after.
Yeah, that's right.
You would have hated the year after.
Yeah.
I mean, being a social butterfly and being locked in a cage, you would have hated it. I mean, you probably were anyway.
Yeah. Well, it kind of worked well because I obviously moved away from family when I was 17, and that was kind of the first time moving back, transitioned into work. So I kind of was able to focus on that. And then, as you mentioned, the year later, sort of when the lockdowns eased, it was the proverbial butterfly coming out of the cocoon, I guess, and was able to enjoy that social aspect of Melbourne life.
I was just thinking then, I do this all the time. You got the Nike jumper on and the Adidas runners on. I shouldn't bring it up because they probably can't see, but I did that yesterday. I did that yesterday. Is that a sin or is that play on?
I'm going to say no. Interested to hear what your viewers think.
So you're saying play on?
I'm saying play on. I'm saying fair bump. Brett Roseberry, fucking play on. 500.
I think when they're colour coordinated, it's play on. I mean, I do it all the time, so only because I just can't be bothered. I wear me comfy runners and whatever's up top. Two great brands.
Yeah, I'm surprised you picked up on it, mate. I'm impressed with your fashion sense.
I like the colour coordinating, just thought I'd have and then I go, oh, that's something that I did yesterday. And I was, the reason was I was leaving the house, I had the Nike jumper on and the Adidas runners, and I thought, far out, do I do this? Do I?
Your mistakes. Someone's pulled you up, and then
someone's pulled me up.
Forward. I appreciate it, mate. It's what Tommy Talks is all about.
Well, I'd love to know out there if anyone out there, is it a cardinal sin to wear Adidas runners and a Nike jumper, or is it play on?
Play on.
We both think it's play on. Who cares what people think? Mate, let's go back to the Gold Coast Suns quickly because you're transitioning and there's some exciting things going on. Clearly, you've transitioned, but you're moving somewhere very exciting. I can't wait to talk about. But just give everyone out there that might not know you a little bit of a recap of your career and how it started, where you grew up, and and being a 17-year-old going to a club that had never existed. Just a little recap while I dive in and ask you a few more questions.
Yeah. So for everyone out there who won't know me, which is probably everyone,
they would have seen you on the decks, mate. Every house party, you'll know there's the big gentle giant on the decks, so they know who you are.
Not a DJ, unfortunately. Yes, mate. So I grew up in a small country town, Yarrawonga. Pretty popular holiday destination. So a lot of people know it. But back when we were there was about 3,500, I reckon. Had the city limits sign there. Played tennis growing up. And then we actually moved to Melbourne for my brother's tennis because he got a professional ranking when he was like 15. I think he was the second youngest after Hewitt.
Older than you?
He's older than me, 3 years older. So yeah, moved to Melbourne when I was 12, started playing footy then. And as you mentioned, was lucky enough to be selected as a 17-year-old with the Goldie. I think the year before they had the draft age, you could be selected as a 17-year-old. So I think Jack Watts was the first pick, one of our good mates. And so he was playing AFL while he was still at school. So it was similar for us, but we were in the VFL. And then, yeah, mate, what was it, 10 years later, as you know, your career just goes like that. But amazing times, amazing experiences, and something that I'll be forever grateful for.
Geez, you just skipped over the 10 years. Don't worry, I'm not going to let him get away with that one. Talk to me about tennis. You would have had a mean serve being so tall. Something I'm very jealous of. I can't serve.
It's funny. So Pat, my older brother, was an absolute gun, as I mentioned. Won a bunch of national tournaments, played Junior Oz Open and Wimbledon and US Open, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know why. I think I saw a doco of the Williams sisters, and Venus was older than Serena, and Serena obviously ultimately was better than her. For some reason, I thought I was going to be better purely because I was a younger sibling. So followed in his shadow, his massive shadow, for ages. And it wasn't until I was about 11 years old that I sat down and I asked Dad, I was like, "Oh, Dad, do you think I'm ever going to make it?" And Dad's tells a story, and he's like, he thought it was going to be a massive turning point of making or breaking me. And he goes, "Oh, mate, if you put in a bit more effort, you're probably a chance, but the way you're going, I don't think you will." And he's sweating bullets, being like, "Oh no, have I just crushed my son?" And I've turned to him and I've gone, "Oh, thank God. I didn't really like it anyway. I just thought I was going to be better than Pat."
That's awesome.
So fortunately, obviously didn't have as much talent as him. Had a mean serve, but yeah, that's about as far as it went.
When did the football start to become a priority? I think about, myself growing up, and I just did everything. I did all the sports till about 14, and then 15 it started to really ramp up. Was that similar for you?
I reckon it was the same, mate. Yeah, I reckon, when I was 15. So was, trying out I was playing volleyball, basketball and footy, and trying out for those regional and state teams. And footy was obviously... Footy actually just provided me more opportunities and more certainty, to be honest. Basketball was my big love growing up. But when I was playing, the administration and the management that was in charge at the time, volleyball were so we had trainings on say it was a Sunday, had footy practice matches on Sunday, training for volleyball and basketball both on Sunday. Footy was yeah, mate, play with us every second week. Love you playing basketball, and volleyball actually helps your footy. Whereas the other two sports were nah, pick us, or we won't select you.
Really?
Yeah. So to be honest, that was
turned you off a bit.
Yeah, turned me off. Yeah. And footy was just so supportive. They do it so well at a grassroots level, which is why it's such a successful sport and a national sport. So yeah, they were just facilitated so much more opportunity. Yeah. And I think it's why a lot of players Watsy, Pendlebury, obviously basketball backgrounds.
Yeah,
but ultimately chose to play footy. Yeah.
Were you always this tall? How tall are you?
I was born this tall. Yeah. So shout out to Mum. 6'8", straight out the womb. Sorry, mate. I was always fairly tall, big baby, 9.2 pounds. But I don't think it was until about year 8 or 9 that I hit the growth spurt and was sort of back center of the photos, being the tallest in the class. Yeah. But then, I just, forgot how to stop growing.
17-year-old going to the Gold Coast Suns.
Yeah.
How was that quickly? What was...
It was amazing.
Were you taking the piss or what, first year?
To be honest, I was very immature mentally for that first year.
Mate, looking back, ask yourself if you're listening or watching, you're 17 years old, you're going to an AFL club that's never existed with a couple of superstars from different codes. Yeah. And there was not much media attention up there. Other than the launches. Yeah. You guys were all living together. It would have been the most fun.
Mate, it was amazing. So much fun. Even as I touched on before, that first year we went up, there was 6 of us. Sorry, there was 12 of it. Well, there was 11 of us. Fuck, a lot of numbers here. 11 17-year-olds, because Alex Keith chose to play cricket. Obviously now the doggy's doing well, the big chieftain. But 6 of us continued to do school. So we finished year 12 up there. 2 of them failed, Trent McKenzie and Luke Russell. Love you, boys. Shout out to the boys. I reckon they lasted about 2
failed
weeks.
year 12? Well, they couldn't even go. I slept in my exams and I passed. How did they fail?
Yeah, great question. But they gave us a choice of 2 schools that you could go to. 4 of us chose the more academic schools. Luke and Trent chose the more footballing school up in Queensland.
That's brilliant.
Mate, hilarious. I reckon the week we got up there, we went to Pacific Fair, the big shopping centre there. And the boys have like got their first paycheck and like bought these like brand new leather, I can't even remember what they were, like really nice, like dress shoes basically for school. Yeah, they had your Timberlands, the suede ones. I remember after the first day of school, because we'd train in the morning and then train in the afternoon after school. The boys were like keen as to rock up to school in their new kit. We get to training and like, oh, how was it, boys? Like, we had a great day. And they're like, hey, they all hate us. Like, they started teasing us for our leather shoes. They were all in like Vans and stuff.
yeah, different fashion up there.
Massively different fashion, different school. So didn't start off too well with them. And then 4 weeks later, they were in full-time program and the other 4 of us at the other school, continued our studies.
That's crazy. So you're doing school up there in AFL, yeah.
Doing school.
Where are you living in Goldie at the time? What area?
I started in Narang with Taylor Hine.
Don't know where. Oh, yeah.
Narang.
I went to school with Heinzie.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Great fella. But yeah, it's they call people out there the Narangatans.
How far away is it?
Oh, it's probably like it's really close to Carrara, but it's out the other side.
That side. Yeah.
It's on the way to sort of Dreamworld.
You're not near the hustle and bustle. You're not near Burleigh and
you couldn't
all
be
the
further
spots.
from the glitter strip. Yeah. Didn't meet a meter maid for the first 6 months.
Yeah.
Didn't meet one at all, but yeah.
Just looking at like just Gold Coast and I guess. They're going well now, I think. Like, obviously this year, they're sitting, I think, 14th on the ladder. They've just lost their coach.
They're going well.
I know. That sounds terrible. So they're not going that well, but their list will progress next year. I'll put anything on it. I reckon they might even progress to finals next year if Hardwick comes in and they actually have a real mature list. But it's been a struggle. They've never finished above 14th or something, which is
12th, I think.
12th,
I think one of our years, and then last year.
Okay,
it was 12th.
So that's great to know because I think I said 14th the other day. Yeah. But still, 12th's not great. And how many years have it been? 12 years?
Yeah, what was I? 9, plus 3, 12. Yeah.
12 years, and they've never finished above 12. So looking back now, being a part of the culture, what was missing? What if you could go back in time? What do you think the club needed?
It's a great question, mate, and I've got the beauty of hindsight on my side. But, in my opinion, like not necessarily the correct one, but there's a couple of things, and one of them I don't really think you can change until you build enough momentum and traction up there. But I think, honestly, and you touched on it before, is like not having that media scrutiny. So I think there was an element. I remember like Rocket, like obviously would come in and blast us, but I remember he used to say like if you guys were in Melbourne, you'd be like sitting down and like people would be like giving you grief, but you just don't have that pressure up there. And again, like I can't relate to what that pressure was like because I only played up there, but I think there's an element of pressure builds diamonds. So that's a small part. But in my opinion, I think management at the time were really young and inexperienced. And as a result, probably weren't as well equipped to nurture and develop some of us younger guys. But mate, in the same breath, like you compare us to GWSs and your list, your 17-year-olds, again, like chalk and cheese. Like you guys obviously had a lot more talent than us. So there's an element of that as well. I think there's a myriad of a number of things that contributed to the lack of success. And now I think they've got, a lot in place. They've got the facilities in place. Like my first training session there, we're in a shipping container. Yeah, like our gym was like, not a demountable, a shipping container.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was already like 30 degrees and 90% humidity. And I remember we used to weigh in and we'd lose weight after a gym session. So like, go figure.
Yeah.
I know, you could probably do that as well because you...
I'll lose weight, man. It's just sloppy, skinny, running, just a running man. I can't maintain muscle. I mean, everyone's different. Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's hot up there as well.
Yeah.
I still think they drafted well.
In terms of
like the younger talent, I think they could have maybe changed.
And they have now, as you said, the talent that they've got now is
But they didn't retain it. They didn't, like the Giants, if you're comparing the Giants and the Gold Coast Suns, I think they've held on to most of their stars.
Yeah.
Whereas...
I mean, it's a bit of a different leadership group as well. You guys had Bill Davis and Cal Ward, who were sort of like just before their prime. They peaked at the Giants.
They were younger.
They were younger. Whereas we had Gaz, Michael Riscatelli, he was one of the great leaders. One of your previous guests in Brownie, but they'd already sort of had their All-Australian Guernseys and stuff. So whilst great leaders, probably weren't able to give as much output as some of your comparables.
Let's talk about Brownie. I've never just laughed so much. And being in a footy club, I can only imagine the standards on the field would have been elite.
Yeah. And
then in the locker room, you couldn't have smiled anymore around him. What was he like to have around the club?
Mate, he was an enigma. I remember played in his 200th or 250th or something, and just one of the speeches he gave us, I think at 3/4 time, like I've never been as motivated in my life. And he was just like a ragged. I think he actually, in my first game, because I was like so nervous, like full of beans. So I remember we went out in the warm up and I was like, we were doing a handball drill and I was just trying to intercept everything. And he just pulled me aside and he's like, mate, like we love your energy around the contest, but fucking save it for the game. Yeah, and I was like, shit, like that's, big coming from Brownie. But it's hard to describe him. He was, manic trainer, loved having like just as much fun off the field as he did on the field. But he actually took, so us 17-year-olds in that draft class, I think there was about 22 of us. We all obviously turned 21 in the same year, and he took us on a Vegas trip for 7 nights, 8 days. So like, just sums him up.
Oh, he's a good man. And when we were chatting, we got into it a little bit, but he thinks he kind of got shafted in terms of held out to dry.
Right.
With all that stuff going on, clearly, there was a few things going on, but not shafted. I'm probably not using the exact words, but he was such a leader and a good person to have around the club. He did make a couple of mistakes, but just to be shown the door, he reckons it really hurt them with leadership wise, because all you young blokes were probably looking up to him, and he's obviously doing other things off the field. So, did you find it really tough when Brownie left?
I found it tough. Like, sounds like a cliche answer, but when everyone left, but that just became the norm. Like, I think after our 4th year, we'd almost cycled through like 3 times the list kind of thing. Like,
really?
Yeah. Obviously we had list size concessions that we had to like adhere to. So we had to get rid of more players than not. But for someone like myself, like obviously there were off-field incidents, and like I don't envy head coaches and like board members and stuff of the club, because like managing like player personalities and different dynamics, like, it'd be such a tough job. Like, obvious one is the Brownie and Maisie incident. Like, you've got like an up and coming star, and then you've got a leader who's sort of, paved his way and got a lot of experience previously, but has some off-field issues himself. So, I think for us, like as young blokes at the time, we were just trying to, head down, bum up.
You don't want to get involved. Like anyone's drama, you just stay away. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Support both of them where you can, but
losing someone like Brownie must have been hard, like in terms of like just the on-field leadership, the toughness. He's a bloke that takes 21-year-olds to Vegas. It takes a lot for someone older to do that. That's a very giving thing. Obviously, it's like, boys, I'll show you the ropes. You're all young. Sure. Come with me. Yeah. I know Vegas like the back of my hand. You know what I mean? I think he wants to be. I think he wants his ashes to be sprinkled in Vegas. Like, I just think it's a big first no to leave. And then, as you said, it was a bit of a revolving door there. Yeah. It just would have been tough. I would have thought, not just Brownie, but losing all these leaders as young men.
For sure, mate. For sure. And you nailed on the head. Brownie was a classic on-field leader. So he was the one that you'd go out and you'd go to war with and be really inspired, and he'd motivate you. Whereas you had other leaders that brought you together in different parts of a footy club. But another one who, went through some controversial stuff off the field, but Carmichael Hunt, like I remember he and Brownie were two that sort of empowered us younger blokes to challenge the coaching staff and the conditioning staff, to be more so around to educate yourself, being like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Like, and then kind of coming to agreements. So if we do this training, like how about we kind of change up the program to give time back to families and whatnot. So they were really powerful in that, and like opening our eyes to that, as was Tom Murphy, similar mould, Minnie McQualter, who's obviously at Richmond now coaching there and doing great things with the situation he's been given. So I guess going back to your question earlier, having those key leader pillars as players, not having them there for long periods of time probably did cause a bit of instability within the list for sure.
Who was one of the best you've seen at the Suns? Because there's a lot of talent. Obviously, we're good mates with the Meatball, Prestia. Maisie's been through there. Tommy Lynch, you got Gary Ablett. We got all this. I'm leaving heaps out here.
Yeah.
There's so much talent, which we know doesn't stand up, and it's a team sport, so it does stand up. But you need the right pillars around.
For sure.
Who is someone that you still think hasn't got enough credit? Like someone that was just so talented. Harley Bennell, someone I've probably left out.
That was the one I was going to say. The one that you hadn't mentioned. You obviously played with him, but I remember. Yeah, Bennell just during training, like he'd obviously play on a wing and he'd just run like post to post and like link up for 4 possessions, take the kick out, end up kicking the goal. Wouldn't be puffed and would be laughing and like going up to Gaz being like, "Where were you there, mate?" He was great. And then like to add another layer to that, probably, and like I'll talk to him about this and he would be the first one to put his hand up. But 4 weeks prior to that, when preseason would start, he'd run not like arbitrary number, but he'd run a 9-minute 2KO and just blow up. So his ability and talent to gain fitness was like nothing I'd ever seen. So he'd only need sort of 2, 3, 4 weeks to be able to do those athletic feats. But yeah, I guess having that lack of preparation is probably what caused him to break down and not get the most out of himself. But yeah, so he was probably the most talented. I think he had that game against Geelong. I think he kicked 6 off a wing.
Yeah. I think he had. I remember when Freo, we played him and I was emergency, but I remember being in the room and he had like 43 and kicked 2.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
And we were running with him.
Yeah. And he would have been like 20, 21 maybe.
Yeah.
Or 19.
Yeah.
But then Gaz was the one that, he was the one that you'd pinch yourself with. I remember playing in a midfield with Dion and Jager O'Meara when he was absolutely firing. And Gaz would, win games off his boot or he'd kick 2 goals in the last quarter and win it for us. And we'd be like literally looking at each other being like, is this bloke serious? Is this real life?
Yeah. What's it like playing with the GOAT?
It's amazing, mate.
One of the GOATs.
I liked it. I played with him in 2013 when he won his Brownlow. So I like to
just on a platter.
Yeah.
Did he shout you a few drinks that night or what?
He did. He one of the as everyone's mentioned, one of the most competitive humans of all time, and it didn't stop anywhere. I remember Mad Monday, we played quarters, and I played with him and I beat him in one game, and then he just wouldn't leave me alone and just like destroyed me and just got me like so drunk because I'd beaten him once and he just had to.
So is that competitive?
Is that competitive? Table tennis, same thing. He actually played against a game against my brother Pat, who had that transferable tennis skills, and Pat beat him and he was so filthy about it.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, the ultimate beast.
Sam Taylor's a bit like that when you think about table tennis, for any footy, all the footy nuffies out there, but Slammer we call him, but he hates losing and cracks the shit.
Yeah.
But very competitive and you can see why he doesn't give up many goals.
Yes, yeah.
It's always
carries it on the field as well.
It's a good trait.
And table tennis, such a key pillar of a football club, isn't it?
Any cool stories from the Suns days back in the day? Before we move on, I want to talk about your transition and what you're doing now and 9 years, maybe 2 questions is before you tell me some funny stories, have you got some advice for yourself or any other young players? If you were to look back now, how old are you now? 31?
31, yeah.
So you're 31 years old, you played AFL footy as young as you could or been on a list at 17.
Yeah.
There's a lot of young guys out there that listen to this. There's a lot of parents probably. And a lot of just fans.
Yeah.
What would be some advice that you'd give yourself looking back now if you could change something?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, great question. And again, the beauty of hindsight on my part, and very biased now because I'm kind of 3 years post, so I've been able to transition. But yeah, to be honest, I'd somehow like intertwine in your program because as you know, it's so consuming, the footy world. But spend some time outside of footy with people that aren't involved with the club, doing something that you like, that you can transition into. So heavily skewed towards that transition piece, but also too because just the echo chamber that is the football world. And I get it. Like you identify as a footballer, so you're going to judge yourself on performance and everything. But just to have those conversations outside of footy, I think can place you in such a better space, like mentally, and allow you to have a bit more clarity when it comes back to footy. But again, I know how hard it is when you're in the moment and when you're in that environment. But yeah, if there's something that blokes, and women too, can find outside of footy that they're passionate about, that could be a future career for them, you have a day. You get plenty of time off during the season. So wherever you can, like do everything you need to hone your craft. But where you can, spend as much time sort of outside the footy bubble. because I think it'll pay dividends inside the footy and for your form.
So were you not doing that?
I was, mate, but I still couldn't escape the scrutiny and stuff that you put yourself under. And I think that like affected my form for a number of years as well.
So how do you, and I'm just breaking these layers down.
Yeah.
How do you get away from the scrutiny then?
Yeah.
If you were doing it and you're giving yourself some advice, what is it, going to see the psychologist, or is it?
Potentially, yeah. It's horses for courses, but I think building a network, so finding some key people. So we had some really good people at the Suns who were involved in business, but spending time around them and just saying, hey, can we not talk about footy? Because that's obviously the great draw card. So I did a couple of internships whilst I was studying and playing, and it was great. One of them was at CBA at their business bank, and I'd go in and like everyone would love it because they'd talk about footy, and that was great. But I guess if I was to have my time again, you sort of remove yourself and talk about like their lives and what they do. And I get golf's another good one. You can sort of escape and you have that opportunity to talk about the real world. But yeah, really like diving deeper into something outside of footy for mine, whether it's business, whatever. Yeah,
it's good advice. Before I move into the transition, give me some stories that maybe we don't know about. So what was it like? As I said, you're up there, you're all carrying on. Any funny stories on the track, off the field, at the Gold Coast days that come front of mind?
Oh, my favourite ones are when we're at school. So in year 12. So as I mentioned, so I did year 12 with Piers Flanagan, Taylor Hine, and Mav Weller. All great fellas, and Mav Weller, just one of the great personalities, great leader as well, very, very headstrong bloke. So we did 3.5 days of school, the way we're able to manipulate our calendar and our schedule. So we do, I think it was a Wednesday. So Wednesday we'd like do yoga in the morning, and then we like, don't know why, but we had this thing where we'd like race each other to school, like obviously obeying the road rules. And we'd keep a tally, and so whoever would lose at the end of the week would like shout the other coffee or whatever. But whenever we like got to school, like we'd be like tearing down. They had this like little driveway and then car park at the bottom of the hill, tearing down this hill. So like teachers and stuff would like come out of their classrooms and like disturb kids. And because we'd gotten to the beach, Mav Weller would walk out with a towel wrapped around him, like obviously a big unit back in the day. Yeah. So had his rig out, sunnies on, coffee in hand. And he used to, I think he's gotten rid of it now, but he had a Top Gun tattoo.
Oh, wow.
Obviously Maverick. So yeah, I just picture Mav strutting around the All Saints grounds.
Get up like that. Yeah. That is a head bobble and a half, Maverick.
Which we love
which
Mav.
We do love that. I mean, if you've got the rig and you're at school and you're on an AFL list, that is one way to get people just going, look at these blokes.
100%. I've done the same thing, but spaghetti arms over here was, I had jumpers on.
Shirt on, mate. I was at Yacht Week with the shirt on. Sunburned, but probably because of the rig as well.
Yeah, correct.
Mate, what are you doing now? Tell everyone how you've transitioned. What are you focusing on? Where's all your energy gone the last 3.5 years? And the big move.
The big move. Jeez, it's a build up. Mate, so I was fortunate enough to study and complete my uni degree while I was playing. So I studied commerce and finance. Traveled over to New York one year, 2016. Used to date an American girl, but caught up with a family friend who was in investment banking. Picked his brains, fell in love with the city, fell in love with what he was doing. So just followed that path. So last 3 years been doing that in Melbourne. And then, a few months ago, came to an agreement with the firm because initially wanted to get transferred over there, but market conditions have been really tough. So came to an agreement with them, pulled the cord, and was just been interviewing and meeting, which I'd sort of set up in advance before moving over. Landed an investment banking gig over in New York. So the pinnacle of that, caught up with your good friend and great fella, Nick Stone.
Oh, you guys caught up?
We did, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. We did it in California. Yeah, great man, really generous with his time as well and connected me with a lot of people, as you do as well. But mate, so I'm on that path. So I'm here. You've caught me at a good time. I'm here processing my visa at the moment and I'm starting in a couple of weeks. So
that is so exciting.
Yeah, really excited for that. Yeah. So going over and experiencing that New York market. I just can't wait. Like butterflies again.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's hard to find something, isn't it? Once you finish, you never will find the same, I don't know, thrill and atmosphere and I don't know, you know, when you're on a footy, your adrenaline rush. It's hard to find that. And then also the drive to win a premiership, like as a group. It's a big group. There's like 150 people in the building. Yeah. And there's obviously like 40 on the list, but 40 odd. It sounds like you've found this new passion. Is it reinvigorated? You know what I mean? Like you're just feeling unbelievable about it?
Mate, it's a great point you make as well, because I remember when I first started at my first gig in Melbourne, I remember talking to my boss and like just planning out like what you wanted to do. And I like basically said to him, I was like, mate, I want to take over from you. I want to become a partner. And how do I do it quicker than everyone else? And he's like, oh yeah, you know, like you can take your time and like not everyone has to do that. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean not everyone wants to be the absolute best? And he's like, yeah, like welcome to the real world. Like some people don't have that drive and aspiration. So that was a good lesson and good reflection upon like, I guess like how to communicate effectively with other people and stuff. But to your point about transitioning and being reinvigorated, listen to your podcast with Mitchie Wallace, who's a great friend, an old schoolmate. Went to St. Kevin's for 1 year with those boys and had some success, which was great. And we've actually crossed over in the commerce world. But the fact of identity that he spoke about, like, couldn't have rang more true to me as well. Like, and as you know as well, mate, it's I mentioned it before. You get so consumed with footy, and your identity is like purely a footballer. So for someone like myself who seemingly on the surface had like uni degree behind me, job lined up, like my transition was going to be easy, but it was anything but. And that was all because of that identity piece. So it took me like, good 6 months to not feel guilty about having a beer on a Friday, which was a really weird one because obviously like Friday you associated with like the day before game day. So to have a beer that night was like really weird. But like anything, you just immerse yourself in it. Investment banking for me is great because you're still working with some highly ambitious people and trying to achieve that common goal, a la a premiership. And now I'm able to transition that and move to New York with it.
What is the premiership in that world?
You have multiple premierships, I think. So it's sounds very cliche, but it's helping clients like with whatever their corporate goals are. So raising capital or closing deals, selling their business or buying other businesses on behalf of them. And just taking that to the finishing line and, seeing it through.
And the KPIs for this job, just to give everyone an insight, how many deals would you be doing in a year?
It's, great question, and it varies because some deals can take more than a year. So I guess that's where that's that build up and that's the work that you put in. But
you'd be walking around the office with a bit of a head wobble and get the deals done, wouldn't you? I mean, when they fall through, you'd be flat.
Exactly.
It'd be like losing it'd be like losing a prelim or something. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Not that I have any knowledge.
No, it wouldn't be like
knowledge of that.
Different. But that is exciting.
Yeah. Can't wait. But
and you're in the suit every day?
These guys are a bit more casual, which is great because I guess, that whole work from home COVID era has kind of shifted that. I'll definitely have the bag of fruit on me, but
you got to look sharp.
Yes,
exactly. The first 6 months, you know what I mean? The big Aussie, just with the big gentle giant, 6'8", rolling around.
All the gear, no idea.
Getting deals done just off the height.
Deals. Can't wait, mate.
What was Stoney's best piece of advice? If it was a private conversation, you don't need to mention it, but was there something that is worth sharing?
Yeah, he said, so again, it was very specific to my situation and the market over in New York that I touched on, but he said, just get your foot in the door over there because you think Melbourne's competitive and diverse and whatever, but New York's 10, 20 more levels, mate. It's, unbelievable. And if you think about it too, you've got people in that demographic and that geography going for the same roles that you are. So you're this Aussie with like experience that they've never heard of, AFL that like you can, but you can't even like play the ex-professional athlete card.
It's a new world out there. It's fresh start.
Yeah. So you've got to take your opportunity when you get it, which is what he said, and then just get involved with everything that you can. So
I'm so excited for you.
Well, you're coming over, mate.
I am coming over in October and there for Halloween with my family and because I have my birthday 30th with my sister and got a twin sister. So anyone out there is wondering. So we're all going over there and Yeah, you're going to be there. There's a few other people there that we're mates with. So I'm looking forward to it. It's it's not easy to get there.
Yeah. Bloody oath.
But it will be really exciting. And hopefully you know all the local spots, mate, because I'm not going to do too much prep. I'm just going to call you 2 weeks out and say I'm coming.
Yeah, mate. Come and bunk with me. Well, going back to what Stoney said and like getting involved with not saying no to anyone, mate, I've got you covered for Halloween. We've got an event lined up. Like I've got you a ticket already. Like,
perfect.
Yeah, we're on. We're plugged in.
What are we wearing?
Oh, good question.
I've worn some outrage. I've done
maybe the Mav Weller. I'll just wear a towel, Sonny's coffee.
Sorry, who are you? Mav's coughing it today. I think I went as Ted once, and the Mets were in the. They were in the what do you call it? In the baseball. I should know the
World Series.
Yeah, World Series, the Mets. And I wore the Mets tee over the top of Ted, and I was a big cuddly bear. Nice. And I've never, you want to talk about dropping 5 kilos, mate. I reckon I dropped 5 kilos. I was sweating that much. Yeah. Because you're in nightclubs dancing as a
teddy bear.
The teddy bear. And everyone loved it. So I was like, hey, and then you take the head off, and then they're like, put it on. Leave the head back on.
That's gold.
But I won't be doing that. I won't be doing that. Something a bit more, just more comfortable.
A bit more risque.
So, maybe hit me up with some ideas.
2 types of Halloween
Speaking
dresses.
of New York, I've got an idea here. I mean, sports where I am, our friends at sports where I am, they're, the easiest way for me to describe it is they're Aussies, they're great blokes, and they provide you the best seats in the house when you want to book yourself a ticket to any sporting event around the world. And particular New York, and I just went online I think it was a week ago and just booked myself and my family some tickets to how good's this, the timing, and hopefully you get there on the 29th of October. New York Jets are playing the Giants. They only play each other every 4 years. So and Rodgers is a new quarterback. Giants are going well. So got myself some tickets. Not cheap, just the game, but with 15% off from sports where I am. I should hold it up so you know what I'm talking about. Use the discount code ACES and you will get a 15% off at checkout like I did, which is a lot of money. You save about $400. Now, mate, I've got different cities here, but I've provided you none other than New York City.
Yarrawonga. No, New York.
Yarrawonga. Mate, pick one of the events off that and let me know when you're in New York, what would be the one event that you would take yourself to and maybe a friend?
Is it only sporting events? I'm trying to look for my DJ set at Brooklyn Mirage, but it's not here.
That's the after party, mate. You handle that one. They're a very professional outfit. Sports radio.
Always.
Do you carry that USB, do you?
No, not at all. Yes.
Mate, what's the sports that you'd be booking when I give you a little prize in a second?
Okay, how good's this? Like, you talk about New York and you've literally got 10 events here. It's a tough one. Actually, no, it's not. Ice hockey's my favourite sport live. So I'm going Rangers at the Madison Square Garden.
There you go. Well, mate, courtesy of our friends at Sports Where I Am,
true.
You're getting a $250 voucher.
And true.
That will sort you out with a ticket to the Rangers at Madison Square Garden. Obviously, our friends at Sports Where I Am.
Yeah, good.
We can't thank them enough. And if you're going to, overseas, I think the schedules are all out. Make sure you head online at sportswhereiam.com and book yourself some tickets and use ACES at checkout for a handy discount. I might have said 15% off. I can't remember what it is, but it's a lot of money when you put it through. Obviously, tickets aren't cheap to these events.
And if you're saving $450, it's 15%, then
yeah, exactly right. So there you go, mate. That's yours. Back to New York. What location?
Thank you.
Where are you going to base yourself?
So I'm starting in met some like great Aussies over there, and that's again the scale of New York. Like I've met like 6 or 7 different Aussie groups, and like Aussies, we obviously like stay together and integrate well when we move overseas, but so many of these people don't know each other. But yeah, met a fella who's got a spare room. So he's in Williamsburg. So there for the first 2 months. And then I'll find something myself after that. Probably go back to Manhattan on the island. Lower East Side or
Williamsburg is Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, sorry.
I knew it was Brooklyn, but I didn't want to go with it.
Yeah. That's all that confidence, mate.
Tonight. I mean,
Williamsburg's Queens.
So that's a while. Is that a while from work? Where's work?
Mate, it's all really close. So work will be, Midtown. 15 minutes on the train.
Man.
They're not really on Wall Street anymore.
They're not on Wall Street?
Yeah. Some of them are. They're just moving away from it. Yeah, rent there's too expensive and, financial districts still big, but they're sort of diversifying a bit closer to Central Park.
Before I skip over New York, what's the coolest place in New York you've been?
Yes, great plug. So my future roommate, Leroy, Big Liam, he manages and runs Le Dive or Le Dive. So it's this, sweet French bar. Drop my name at the door and you get 50% off.
50% off. Oh, bang. I want to get entry.
But no, that's cool, mate. I've like really good like al fresco dining. Who did we see there? We saw Jonathan and Nancy from Stranger Things. The two actors there.
I'm nodding like I know. I've got fucking no idea. Yeah. I'm not going to be a fraud here and say, I'm like, oh, I don't watch it. Yeah.
Some real A-listers for the Stranger Things fans out there. But I guess that's everywhere in New York.
There's so many celebs. They don't get like hassled, I reckon. It's more chill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what they say. Well, you'll be able to tell us when you come over, mate, whether or not you get hassled. So
imagine that.
You can be number one. But that's...
Mate, you've been traveling around a lot. So, like, I've done a little bit of travel, but we've done a bit. Why didn't you link up with us, mate? You meant to come to Mykonos and you've dogged us. And I saw you in Spain not around the corner, but 3 hours away, mate. What's going on? We had a bed for you and everything. Hey?
Mate, my liver needed a break after 6 weeks in New York. But no, it would have been great to get on board, with yourself, Camby and Geordie. But it was just easier to get to Barcelona. So, was able to get a couple of weeks off after signing the job offer. And thought I'd duck over for a quick European summer.
Makes sense. So you kind of celebrated the signing.
Yeah.
Is that how it works, by the way? I've never been in this position. And hopefully, one day you are. You just went to New York looking for jobs. Mm-hmm. So you were just meeting people. You'd obviously teed them up. So you'd emailed as many people as you want, and you went bang, 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 bang. Yep. And you literally just sitting there going, I want a job.
Yeah, pretty much. Telling the story, interviewing, doing certain like case studies and tests. And
can I get some quick insights on the case studies, tests, and these interviews?
Yeah, sure. So for what I do specifically, heavily skewed around valuing companies. So case studies will be like, you'll get the financial statements for a business, and then you build out a financial model, so a discounted cash flow. So you have the historic. This is so boring for so many people.
But keep going.
you basically forecast the free cash flow, so the income that a company's going to generate, and then you discount it back to a present value and arrive at what a company should be worth. And then you sort of write a qualitative piece on who you'd sell it to, why, and how much for, and what range you'd give it in.
How long will that take?
Simplifying, a couple of hours, 3 hours.
Oh, so you do it pretty quickly.
You got to do it quickly. They're simplifying some of these case studies more now, so they're making it a bit easier, and more so putting more emphasis on your sort of rationale and then your thinking behind.
Present this to the same person in a follow up.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they would follow up and say, "Nice, here's a job."
You made these are all your errors. Never contact us again, but thanks and all the best. Yeah.
When you got the gig, how many meetings did you had?
No, this one was very lucky. I only had 2. Yeah, so I didn't do a case study with these guys, but previous experience and connections, which is the other thing, mate. It's all who you know. I actually met an Aussie at another friend's birthday party who worked at this firm.
Were you on the decks?
I wasn't on the decks. Had the USB on me, but no decks, unfortunately.
The USB is a cracker. You definitely carry that USB, by the way. For anyone else out there that doesn't understand, if you go to a house party, you'll see the big gentle giant. He will pull out his wallet and he will get a USB stick out and he will be on the decks all night. Here it is. Get it out.
This is how much wear and tear it's on. Please do not put this on any content.
Is there a bit of Peggy goo on there?
There's so much Peggy.
Oh, mate, we were smashing Peggy.
She's good, isn't she?
She's great. My mate Jordan was having breakfast next to her in Mykonos and wouldn't get a photo. I'm like, you don't have to harass her, but just maybe give her a compliment. And he was too scared.
You're kidding. That kills me. That's now my biggest regret in life. It's not getting a trade from the Suns. It's not coming to Greece with you. Peggy's my girl. I'm convinced I'm going to meet her.
There's a place called Bowl in Mykonos. If you've been, it's
my goodness,
delicious. Just sitting next to Jordan, he goes, "I'm sitting next to Peggy."
Shut up.
I'm thinking, mate, are you kidding? Like that was
JT.
I've never pumped that song more. Like, you know, when you go out and then it comes on. Like if you're falling,
how's it go? Can you give us a rendition?
Nah, I can't.
Come on.
I'm more of a beat man. When it comes on, I'm just like, here we go. Yeah. 10 minutes to go on the set. You beauty.
Brings the people to the D floor.
Yeah. So you got lucky just from a connection.
Yeah. So I met him. He got me an interview. Hit it off really well with the partner. it was a great fit. They had someone who in my position who left. So yeah, it was really, really good timing. But as someone, I think Nick said that to me as well. Going back to some good advice was, so when I first got there, I treated it like preseason. I guess I was like the first 4 weeks I had 5 meetings a day, 5 coffees a day. I was absolutely fucking buzzing by the end of every day. But get to bed early.
Bluestone Lane coffees, the premium Aussie.
Of course. Yeah. If someone suggested elsewhere, I just would cancel the meeting. Just absolute power move. But wouldn't have a drink. And then I think it was Nick said to me, he's like, mate, don't turn down social events as well, because it's all about who you know and who you meet. And that's what happened. That the first event I went to was a friend's birthday. Met this fella there. He got me the interview, got the job.
Amazing.
It's amazing how it works.
And the reason I'm asking this is generally interested, but there's a lot of people out there that might be wanting to do what you're doing, and they wouldn't know what to do, where to look. So I think it's great advice, go to social events, events. It's about who you know, but obviously tee up as many meetings as possible.
Yeah.
And you got
to do a lot of prep work. You've all the meetings I had, I'd pretty much spoken to them in Oz beforehand, whether it be at 11 p.m. or 6 a.m. because you're obviously bookends of the day. So for anyone that wants to move overseas, set up as many meetings as possible and just contact everyone you know, because it's all about who you know. And then you got to have boots on the ground. So get over there. You've got to be face to face.
Take the risk. So you just went over there, didn't you?
Pretty naive. I remember I had a meeting with this really impressive firm on the first day. Went really well. And then the second day I just had the absolute doubts. I'm like, what are you doing? You're an idiot. You're not going to get anything, blah, blah, blah. But
everyone I've spoken to that's done this has landed.
Yeah, exactly. You got to do it. If you're trying to, some people can, but if you're trying to get something on home soil, they just don't take you seriously. As I said before, you've got people that have got MBAs or CFA qualifications behind them, coming from Harvard. They're Americans. They don't need sponsorship. It's just so much easier to select from their talent pool. If you're in another country, you're not even there physically. So it's a no-brainer.
No, it's well said. Mate, when we think about football, not that we've spoken too much about it. As you said, Gazza wouldn't have won the Brownlow if you weren't putting it down his throat. Is that what you said earlier?
Yeah. You're welcome, Gaz.
Our friends here at Milwaukee, take that off me, mate. That is yours. That is the
beautiful
M12 heated tough shell heated jacket.
Yeah, right.
And I know you're going to New York and it's going to be cold. I know that might be warm at the moment, but it is going to be very cold.
It's going to be freezing.
So that's yours. You've also got the battery here, mate. So you can chuck the battery in the pocket and it actually heats.
In the suit.
Yeah, into the jacket, mate. So
tradies wear that, mate. I've never worked a day in my life.
They're all black though, so you can wear that over the top of a shirt. No dramas.
So it'll suit me.
And take it off. As you're walking into the meeting, just take it off. You'd have the, the 3-piece. Yeah. Well, not the 2-piece, but
the suit on.
The suit on. Anyway, the Milwaukee Tools segment here, it's your handiest moment. I don't know. How handy are you on the tools?
Mate, shocking. Yeah, I did one day at mates. Good thanks yourself. He's a tradie. I think he's a chippy. I don't even know what that means. But I worked with him for one day and I got a sore back. I was like, how do you do this every day?
6'8", you're not made for it.
Yeah, correct.
I don't know. Well, that's my opinion and my opinion only.
Yeah.
You're just going to get a sore back.
All you 6'8" tradies out there.
Yeah.
Suck eggs.
Stick to the deals and just hit outs, mate.
Yeah, that's it.
Now, with Milwaukee, I want you to tell us what is the handiest moment of your career. If you think back to a day, you played 9 years.
Yeah.
What is the handiest thing you've ever done? And don't tell me, I can't remember. We all remember one thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a long career. So there's one thing that Tommy Nicholls, Milwaukee Tools, handiest moment, what would it be?
You worded me up beforehand, so I thought about it.
I have to give you this one so you can make sure you just get it right.
Yeah. So winding it back. So didn't have many highlights at all, but winding it back to Gaz's Brownlow year, 2013. I think it was my second or third game. We played the Dons down at Marvel. Eddie had it was back then. And I was getting absolutely lit up by Paddy Ryder, who was an absolute idol growing up and just a beast, punched out of his weight class, obviously. And I was getting torched and I think he kicked 2 goals on me. I was having a stinker, jumping all over me. And then the end of the third quarter, I remember I was like, fucking hell, I'm never going to play footy again. I'm getting absolutely towed up. We had a forward 50 stoppage, and I don't even think I'd mention anything to Gaz, but it was a short throw in. I was just running up to it, and Bluey at the time was Bluey McKenna, our coach at the time, was like, just like always keep it in front of you, just like keep it simple for the Rovers. And I was like, fuck that, like let's get a bit of flair about it. So didn't communicate with anyone, just like ran up to this like short throw in, like finally beat Paddy to a contest, flicked it over the back, and Gaz was just there, and he just ran onto it like without breaking stride and like kicked a goal, like snapped this like miraculous goal. And then like, that got me up and about, got a bit of confidence. I ended up kicking 2 goals in the second half on Paddy. I think he still got like 2 Brownlow votes and Gaz got 3 maybe, but it was great. And then I remember at 3/4 time, Bluey brought us in and he was like, boys, see, like, look, anyone can do it. Like Tommy Nicholls was getting absolutely pants in the first half, but he's just gritted the teeth, and look at that, like, amazing tap that he's communicated with Gaz and like led to a goal and got us a bit of a momentum. And I'm just there thinking like, fucking hell, it was a short throw in, and I've just taken a risk and flicked it out the back. So cheers.
That's
cheers,
the best. Yeah. You just run with it as well. The boys like, you mean that? Yeah,
of course. Yeah, man, Gaz nodding a wink.
There you go. A little tap out the back. What number was that? What was the hit zone called there? Number 4?
Good, thanks yourself. No, it was called gold actually. So red to the front, gold out the back.
There you go. A little bit of gold for the master, and the master runs on. And he would have made it. He made it. It's always good when the master, in that case, but anyone finishes the job, finish the work.
Yeah, in stride as he is, so balanced. Like you saw him doing it the other day for the team up in the Sunny Coast or in Cairns or whatever.
He's playing up there with it was up in Cairns, didn't he?
With Smithy and Sebi Tape.
I don't know how they do it. Speaking of exercise, because I went for my first bike ride last night. And it's like me popliteus and knees just locking up, and I'm pretty fit down there as well. It's
something
like,
I haven't heard for a while. Gastroc.
The gastroc. Yeah. So I just think Gaz just rolls out and just dominates. Like, what a machine.
Yeah.
Everyone else I've seen roll out, they get a bit tight, that soft tissue. The Carlton draft boys, they all go, they're off on their first quarter, they're all done. You know what I mean? But Gaz is just rolling around, just cleaning up. Yeah.
Well, mate, funny you mentioned it about Gaz, because speaking of leaders, his preparation off the field was like nothing I've ever seen. Elite. Like, we used to have this book that you'd sign in at Metricon, Heritage it is now, Heritage Bank, where you could go into the ice bars because they had 24/7 security, and you'd sign in and you'd like date what time you are. So I remember I used to go in the morning at like whatever, and you'd see the person before you, and it was like Gary Ablett, no joke, like 2:30 a.m. signing in to go into an ice bath. Yeah.
That's a Kobe Bryant type, 2:30 a.m. That's early.
Yeah, so his recovery
did any of you boys decide to jump on and copy at 2:30 a.m. or were you too busy down at Love and East just with your USB stick in the DJ set? Did any of you boys think to pull your finger out and copy Gazza at 2:30 in the morning or what?
Thankfully, my USB's only been around for 2 years, but we were banned from Surfers for like the first 2 years, and then we had a 12 a.m. curfew. So
Broadbeach was better than Surfers back in the day, anyway.
Yeah, true. I'll take your word for it. I was a good man, never went out.
Yeah, I'm sure you were.
Charlie Dixon's list.
I'm sure
CD's list of love.
If you were to give some advice to ruckman before I give you the Rixies and you tell me who's going on tour with you to New York.
Yes.
Any advice? Not an easy position, and being such a, you are one of the nicest guys I've ever met, and I know you're such a gentle, caring guy. I've only known you not as long as I've only known you for the last since I finished footy, obviously through footy, but got to spend some quality time with you. You're very caring, giving. You're such a lovely person, such a giant of a man. But when you're a ruckman, you've got to be that assertive beast. You've got to be someone that's, boys, follow me. I'm going to hit that first contest. You set the tone for the day every single game. Yeah. Did you struggle with any of that? Or you just white line fever?
I always had it in me, mate, but it wasn't until later in my career that I use it as my one wood, I guess. And one of the blokes that you played with, Shane Mumford, I think he was one of the best to do that. And I used to love coming up against him. I did my fucking PCL twice against him, I think. But he used to really set the tone. Yeah, he's just a monster of a man. But you're spot on. Like, I'm a massive believer in that. Yeah, the ruckman has to have a massive physical presence. And I used to thrive off it, like especially towards the end of my career. It'd give you your midfielders a kick. But for ruckman out there, my biggest piece of advice, and I guess what I hung my hat on, was sort of follow-up efforts and second efforts. Like, I just used to, love following up the ball and like tackling the oppo mids or whatever it was, or getting that clearance and giving it out. And it's funny because it's like, it feels like such an easy thing to do because like once you tap the ball, like you've still got like in multiple seconds to follow up and impact the contest. So yeah, as simple as that, mate. That would be my one piece of advice.
It's good advice. It's good advice for the big
big boys.
Big blonks.
For the big blonkers.
He's got a bit of heat, don't you, the big blonks?
Oh, mate, absolutely.
Like, look at this big fucking blonk.
Yeah.
What do they breathe up there, these blokes? They're fucking useless. And then you get the guns and the G's of your I wish I was tall. Like, tall would be, just a bit more height.
Yeah. Well, I think that
Not just for the footy field, just to be walking around the streets, 6'8", walking around. There's a few head wobbles.
It's good perspective at music festivals, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. When you're bopping around with Zach Clark at Falls Festival, gee whiz.
Speaking of PCLs.
Speaking of, mate, this pair, the Tribeca, I've got you the Tribecas because you're going to be living in Tribeca, I reckon, in a month.
Yeah.
The gloss black,
Great
Rick's Eyewear, they're yours. Thank you for coming on the show.
Jeez, I've come not bearing gifts. You're a gift giver? Do you know your love languages? I feel like you're a quality time guy.
Quality time,
yeah.
Love.
An acts of service.
Love a laugh.
Got your old man to bring these cards out today, didn't you?
It's a bit trendy, this topic, actually. Speaking of something the other day, it's 5, isn't there?
There is, yeah.
What are the 5?
There's quality time, gift giving, acts of service, words of affirmation, and physical touch. Physical touch
is definitely up there as well.
Yeah, same for me. We're very similar, mate.
Yeah. Just the real stuff.
Just skinny.
The gift giving. I don't mind gift giving, but if you give me gifts, it's good. But I'd rather hang out and have go have a beer, watch some NFL. That's me dream.
Yeah.
Bit like Brownie when we're at the doghouse in Vegas. Like when we're in Vegas watching NFL.
JK's Bucks.
That is the best scenario ever.
Should I take these off?
No, leave them on.
Hope you take me seriously.
But why is that trending at the moment?
Finish the doghouse story.
No, I was just saying that is the dream. I was just saying sitting at the doghouse, having a beer, only a couple of beers. I didn't mind it. Brownie's having Malibus, the Malibu.
He doesn't drink beer.
Yeah, I go, you don't drink beer. I go, man, I'm jumping on with the fucking... He drinks all the sweet
Malibu,
drinks. So I have what you're having, but with soda water or with pineapple. No sugar drinks.
I love telling people that. Campbell Brown,
the tough man doesn't drink beer.
Didn't drink a beer in Vegas.
So... I'm surprised he hasn't got a deal. We keep knocking this mic. I'm surprised he hasn't got a deal with Malibu. The man drinks more Malibu than I used to drink Gatorade. Mate, let's stick to the segment here. Yeah, the doghouse, mate. Just NFL, beers, bit of physical touch. Not from the boys, but whatever. Okay, so Rick's on tour. Mm-hmm. We've changed this. It was going to be Rick's retirement. Now it's Rick's on tour.
Okay.
So if you get your Ricksies, and I got another 2 pairs. You get to bring 2 mates with you. Ooh. I want you to pick the place in the world you're going and who you're taking. And it has to be someone that you played footy with.
Okay. Do they have to be playing currently?
No, they don't have to be currently playing. Okay. But you got to explain why you're taking them.
Yeah, sure. Can I pick New York or is that too cliche?
You pick wherever you want.
Yeah, New York. Obviously, very biased towards the Big Apple. And I'm taking first draft pick is Darcy McPherson. Little Snags McPherson. Yeah. Absolute legend of a human.
Always smiling, Darcy.
Always smiling. Yeah. One of the nicest, one of the best humans out there. And just doesn't have no shame. Doesn't take himself seriously. Yeah. Always up for anything.
Good man.
And he's a little turbo on the dance floor. Shuffles
loves the dance.
Shuffles like a deck of cards.
That's a good one.
And then after that, I reckon. I wind back the clock pre-dad days, but I'll take Dave Swallow as well.
Oh, what a good man.
Yeah, but not for any of those aforementioned reasons, but because I feel like I owe it to Dave. He came to Oktoberfest with us one year, as he does sometimes away with the fairies, and didn't have a SIM card, didn't have reception, was relying on Wi-Fi. Got talking to some people. We had plans of meeting at the front of one of the tents at 9 a.m., rock up at 9, waited there till 9:45. Dave's not there. So we're like, bugger it, whatever. We're going in, having a blast. A couple of hours later, come out and find Davey there, just out the front, just in tears, just crying. He couldn't find us. He didn't have Wi-Fi. He was a bit of a shambles from the day before. So I'll stitch up there, Dave. Also one of the all-time blokes. But I just want people to know he cried at Oktoberfest.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it's fine. It's fine to cry. We've all cried.
Yeah, correct.
Maybe not at Oktoberfest.
Nah, I wouldn't have thought.
What an event, though. Actually, you know what? I'd be crying as well if you can't get into that event. That is one of the best events I've ever been to.
Yeah, happiest place.
Did he end up getting in?
He did.
Okay, cool. So Das, Dave,
Yeah.
and the big fella.
Yeah.
That's a good crew.
Speaking of USBs, though, maybe Tukey Miller,
Well, you've left him on the bench. Tukey, you're on the pine.
Tukey, you're on the pine.
Yeah. Warm up, got the vest on. So you come in if one of the boys can't make it. Mate, thanks so much for coming on. It's
Pleasure.
awesome to get you on. I didn't think you'd be in town. You're in town. There's some big things happening here, you know, and don't be coming back to me, Aces, and saying, oh, Tommy Nicholls, he's the man, he runs Wall Street now. Well, yeah, guess what? We've heard it right here. He's giving you some gems. We wish you all the best over there. And
Appreciate it, mate.
if anyone needs some accommodation in New York City, because I've been online and it's expensive, you hit up this man here and I'm sure he'll be able to sort you out for sure.
Yeah, I'll be homeless over there so we can share a curb together. But, mate, no, appreciate you having me on. Look forward to following your journey. It's been a great one. And who knows, hopefully we can link up together in the future. And yeah, you're an absolute legend, and yeah, appreciate being here, mate.
Oh, mate, you're too nice. Well, as I said, all the best. Thanks for coming on. We'll get the polls on the Adidas, the Nikes.
Yeah, true.
You go home with your heated jacket in New York. You got your Sports Where I Am voucher there to go to the Rangers. Mate, you got your Tribeca Sunnies. Mate, you hit New York with pace. All right, we're giving you every opportunity. All right, hit the ground running.
That's it.
To everyone out there, thank you so much for your support. We're in the brand new studio here, Roller Media. They're on fire.
Yes,
make sure you hit the subscribe button. Give us a review. I think you can, write in comments every week. But thank you so much for all your support. There's some exciting things happening here at American Aces over the next 8 weeks especially. So stay with us. We love your support and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for listening to another episode of Tommy Talks. We literally can't thank you enough for all your support. Righto, we'll see you on the next podcast. Milwaukee's MX Fuel equipment system revolutionizes the light equipment market by delivering the performance and durability demanded by the trades. From the MX Fuel cutoff saw to the MX Fuel tower light, MX Fuel has you covered without the hazards associated with emissions, noise, vibrations, and the frustrations of petrol maintenance. MX Fuel equipment system, equipment redefined. Attention sports fans, planning an overseas trip to catch your favourite games? Look no further than Sports Where I Am. They've got it all. League schedules, trustworthy tickets, and over 200 cities to choose from, all conveniently on one website. Plus, as an Australian company, they know the importance of great customer service for those long-haul journeys. So visit sportswhereIam.com and start planning your dream sports trip today. Sports Where I Am, your ticket to an unforgettable sports travel experience.